Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn 3 very important English phrasal verbs that are used in daily conversation, professional communication, movies, books, news reports, and even academic English. These 3 phrasal verbs are set up, set aside, and set off. Many English learners know the basic meaning of the word set. But when we combine the word set with different prepositions or adverbs, the meaning changes completely. That is why phrasal verbs are sometimes difficult for learners. However, once you understand their meanings and usage patterns, your English becomes much more natural, fluent, and expressive. In today's lecture, we will study the meanings, grammar, usage, and practical examples of set up, set aside, and set off in great detail. We will also compare their meanings and understand the situations where native speakers commonly use them. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to use these phrasal verbs confidently in speaking, writing, and everyday communication. So let us begin with the first phrasal verb, which is set up. Set up. The phrasal verb set up is one of the most common and useful phrasal verbs in English. It has several meanings depending on the context. The general idea behind set up is arranging, preparing, organizing, or establishing something. Meaning number 1. To arrange or prepare something. This is the most common meaning of set up. When you prepare or organize something for use, you set it up. For example, if you buy a new computer and connect all the parts and make it ready to use, you set it up. If workers prepare chairs, microphones, and lights before an event, they set everything up. Examples. I need to set up my new laptop before I can start working. The workers set up the stage for the concert. She set up the meeting room before the guests arrived. They set up the camera near the entrance. We spent the whole morning setting up decorations for the wedding. In all these examples, set up means prepare or arrange. Meaning number 2. To establish or create something such as a business organization or system. When someone starts a company, organization, office, or system, we use set up. Examples. My brother wants to set up his own business. The government set up a new education program. She set up a charity to help poor children. They set up a website for online learning. He set up a small shop near his house. Here, set up means establish, create, or start. Meaning number 3. To arrange a situation or event. Sometimes set up means arranging something in advance. Examples. Can you set up an appointment with the doctor? The manager set up an interview for next week. They set up a friendly match between the 2 schools. I will set up a call with the client tomorrow. She set up dinner for the whole family. Meaning number 4. To trick someone or make someone appear guilty. This is another important meaning. Sometimes criminals or dishonest people set someone up by creating false evidence or putting someone in trouble. Examples. The innocent man was set up by his enemies. Someone set him up and the police arrested him. She realized her coworkers had set her up. The thief tried to set up his friend. He claimed he was set up unfairly. This meaning is negative and often connected with crime, deception, or betrayal. Grammar of set up. Set up can be used in different grammatical structures. Set up something. Set something up. Examples. I set up the machine. I set the machine up. Both are correct. However, if the object is a pronoun like it, him, or them, the pronoun usually comes in the middle. Correct. I set it up. Incorrect. I set up it. This is very important in phrasal verbs. Common situations where native speakers use set up. Setting up a business. Setting up furniture or equipment. Setting up meetings and appointments. Setting up accounts on websites or mobile applications. Setting up cameras, computers, and devices. Setting up decorations for parties and weddings. Setting up systems or rules. Common expressions with set up. Set up a company. Set up an account. Set up a meeting. Set up a plan. Set up a system. Set up equipment. Set up a tent. Set up a trap. Difference between set up and start. Many learners think set up and start are exactly the same, but there is a small difference. Start usually focuses on the beginning. Set up focuses more on preparation and organization. For example, I started my business last year. This focuses on the beginning. I set up my business last year. This focuses on establishing and organizing the business. Now let us move to our second phrasal verb, which is set aside. Set aside. Set aside is another very important phrasal verb in English. The basic idea behind set aside is keeping something separate for a special purpose. Meaning number 1. To save something, usually money or time, for future use. This is one of the most common meanings. Examples. I set aside some money every month for emergencies. She set aside time to study English every day. They set aside funds for the new project. He set aside a little money for his children's education. We should set aside enough time for practice. In all these examples, set aside means save, reserve, or keep for future use. Meaning number 2. To keep something separate. Examples. Please set aside the books you do not need. She set aside the old clothes for donation. The chef set aside some food for later. He set aside the important documents carefully. They set aside a special room for guests. Meaning number 3. To ignore or not let something affect you. Sometimes set aside means forgetting or ignoring emotions, opinions, or differences temporarily. Examples. We should set aside our differences and work together. She set aside her fears and gave the speech. He set aside his anger and listened calmly. The team set aside personal issues for the project. You must set aside negative thoughts and focus on success. Meaning number 4. In law or official decisions, set aside can mean cancel or reject. Examples. The court set aside the previous decision. The judge set aside the order. The ruling was set aside after new evidence appeared. They requested the court to set aside the punishment. The decision was finally set aside. Grammar of set aside. Like many phrasal verbs, set aside can also be separated. Set aside something. Set something aside. Examples. Please set aside some money. Please set some money aside. Both are correct. But with pronouns we usually place the pronoun in the middle. Correct. Please set it aside. Incorrect. Please set aside it. Common situations where native speakers use set aside. Saving money. Keeping time for exercise or study. Ignoring differences during teamwork. Separating useful or important items. Legal and official contexts. Common expressions with set aside. Set aside money. Set aside time. Set aside differences. Set aside emotions. Set aside resources. Set aside doubts. Difference between save and set aside. Save simply means keep something for future use. Set aside often emphasizes intentionally reserving something for a special purpose. For example, I saved money. This is general. I set aside money for my vacation. This specifically shows a purpose. Now let us move to the third phrasal verb, which is set off. Set off. Set off is another extremely common and useful phrasal verb in English. It has several meanings and is widely used in spoken and written English. Meaning number 1. To begin a journey. This is one of the most common meanings. Examples. We set off early in the morning. They set off for the mountains after breakfast. The travelers set off on their adventure. She set off for London yesterday. We will set off before sunrise. In these examples, set off means begin a trip or journey. Meaning number 2. To cause something to happen, especially something sudden. Examples. The loud noise set off the alarm. His comments set off an argument. The explosion set off panic in the city. The heavy rain set off floods. That news set off celebrations everywhere. Here set off means trigger or cause. Meaning number 3. To make something more noticeable or attractive. Examples. The red scarf set off her black dress beautifully. The lights set off the decorations. His smile set off his charming personality. The flowers set off the beauty of the garden. The golden frame set off the painting perfectly. In these examples, set off means highlight or enhance. Meaning number 4. To explode something. Examples. The bomb was accidentally set off. The fireworks were set off at midnight. Someone set off the explosives. The soldiers carefully set off the charges. The device was set off remotely. Grammar of set off. Set off can be used in different ways. Set off. Set off something. Set something off. Examples. The alarm was set off by smoke. The smoke set off the alarm. She set off the fireworks. The fireworks were set off at night. Common situations where native speakers use set off. Starting trips and journeys. Triggering alarms or reactions. Causing emotional responses. Describing clothing and decoration. Talking about explosions. Common expressions with set off. Set off on a journey. Set off an alarm. Set off a reaction. Set off fireworks. Set off a chain of events. Set off a debate. Difference between set off and start. Start is more general. Set off is commonly used for journeys, reactions, or triggers. For example, we started our trip at 6. We set off at 6. Both are correct, but set off sounds more natural for travel. Comparing set up, set aside, and set off. Now let us compare these 3 phrasal verbs together because learners often confuse them. Set up means arrange, prepare, or establish. Set aside means reserve, save, or separate. Set off means begin, trigger, or cause. Examples. We set up the event yesterday. We set aside money for the event. We set off for the event this morning. Notice how each phrasal verb has a completely different meaning even though they all begin with the word set. Practical conversation examples. Conversation 1. Albert. Did you set up your new phone? Harrison. Yes, I set it up last night. Conversation 2. Albert. Do you save money every month? Harrison. Yes, I set aside some money for emergencies. Conversation 3. Albert. When are we leaving for the trip? Harrison. We will set off at dawn. Conversation 4. Albert. Why did the alarm ring? Harrison. The smoke from the kitchen set it off. Conversation 5. Albert. How did she start her company? Harrison. She set up the business 2 years ago. Tips to remember these phrasal verbs. Tip number 1. Think about the direction of the action. Set up means moving upward into preparation or organization. Set aside means moving something away separately. Set off means moving outward into action or reaction. Tip number 2. Practice with real-life situations. Use set up when talking about preparing things. Use set aside when talking about saving time or money. Use set off when talking about journeys, alarms, or reactions. Tip number 3. Create your own sentences daily. The more you practice, the more natural these phrasal verbs become. Common mistakes English learners make. Mistake number 1. Using the wrong phrasal verb. Incorrect. I set off my business last year. Correct. I set up my business last year. Mistake number 2. Confusing set aside with save. Remember, set aside usually suggests a specific purpose. Mistake number 3. Incorrect pronoun placement. Incorrect. I set up it. Correct. I set it up. Mistake number 4. Using set off incorrectly for preparation. Incorrect. We set off the room before the party. Correct. We set up the room before the party. Advanced usage and nuances. Now let us study some advanced uses because native speakers often use these phrasal verbs in figurative and idiomatic ways. Advanced use of set up. Set up can also mean helping someone begin successfully. Examples. Her parents set her up with a good education. The company set employees up for success. Another informal meaning is arranging a romantic meeting. Examples: my friend set me up with her cousin. They were set up on a blind date. Advanced use of set aside. Set aside can also mean emotionally controlling yourself. Examples: he set aside his disappointment and continued working. She set aside her pride and apologized. Advanced use of set off. Set off is frequently used in news and media. Examples: the announcement set off protests across the country. The discovery set off excitement among scientists. Mini story using all three phrasal verbs. Last year Ahmed decided to set up his own online business. He worked very hard and set aside money every month to buy better equipment. After months of preparation he finally launched his website. One morning he set off for an important business meeting in another city. During the meeting his phone alarm suddenly went off because someone accidentally set it off. Everyone laughed and Ahmed quickly turned it off. Despite the embarrassment, the meeting was successful and his business continued growing. This short story shows how naturally these phrasal verbs are used in real communication. Practice section. Now let us practice together. Fill in the blanks mentally while listening. Number 1. She wants to blank her own company. Answer: set up. Number 2. Please blank some money for emergencies. Answer: set aside. Number 3. We will blank early tomorrow morning. Answer: set off. Number 4. The smoke blank the fire alarm. Answer: set off. Number 5. They blank the hall before the wedding ceremony. Answer: set up. Number 6. He blank his anger and listened carefully. Answer: set aside. Why phrasal verbs are important. Phrasal verbs are extremely important in English because native speakers use them constantly. If you avoid phrasal verbs, your English may sound too formal or unnatural. Understanding phrasal verbs helps you improve listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. For example, native speakers usually say, set up a meeting, instead of arrange a meeting. They say, set off on a trip, instead of begin a journey. And they say, set aside money, instead of reserve money. This is why learning phrasal verbs is one of the best ways to sound fluent in English. Pronunciation tips. Set up. The stress is stronger on up. Set up. Set aside. The stress is stronger on aside. Set aside. Set off. The stress is stronger on off. Set off. Practicing stress and pronunciation will make your spoken English sound more natural. Quick revision. Let us quickly revise everything we learned today. Set up means prepare, arrange, establish, or organize. Examples include businesses, meetings, systems, and equipment. Set aside means save, reserve, separate, or ignore temporarily. Examples include money, time, emotions, and differences. Set off means begin a journey, trigger a reaction, highlight beauty, or cause an explosion. Examples include trips, alarms, arguments, and fireworks. Final examples review. Set up examples. I set up my computer yesterday. They set up a new company. She set up the chairs for the guests. We set up a video call. The workers set up the equipment quickly. Set aside examples. He set aside money for college. She set aside time for exercise. Please set aside these files. We should set aside our differences. The court set aside the decision. Set off examples. We set off at sunrise. The smoke set off the alarm. His speech set off controversy. The necklace set off her dress. The fireworks were set off after midnight. Conclusion. So everyone, today we learned 3 extremely useful English phrasal verbs: set up, set aside, and set off. We studied their meanings, grammar, sentence structures, common situations, advanced usage, pronunciation, and practical examples. Remember that phrasal verbs become easier when you learn them in context instead of memorizing definitions only. Try to notice these expressions in movies, books, podcasts, news reports, and conversations. Most importantly, practice making your own sentences every day. The more you use these phrasal verbs, the more natural and fluent your English will become. Thank you so much for watching and learning with me today. Keep practicing, keep improving, and keep speaking English confidently. See you in the next lesson.